What's up, athletes? I was here at work and I got a call from somebody who was supposed to be coming into work today. And unfortunately, he had an incident where he had really damaged his hand. He was shaken up from a slight accident. And as he was on the phone, I could hear the distress in his voice about having to call out. He said, I'm just not, I don't feel right. My hand doesn't work and everything else. And one, I heard him out. And two, I just reminded him, I said, look, man, you get one health. And you could hear the immediate relief in his laugh. He's like, yeah, you're right. I said, look, you and we're going to be friends for a while. We're going to be talking about our third, fourth, and fifth jobs, somewhere down the road. This is where you have to advocate for yourself, everyone. Your jobs will not do that for you. Very few jobs do advocate in a real sense. And you might have that one really cool manager or center manager, but the big picture for any business is business, and that's financial, unfortunately. So they're not advocating for your health. You get how many sick days do you get a year? Probably more. You're probably sick more days or deserve to get more sick days than you do. Why? Because they want to keep you there. If you're not feeling good, well, they'll let you kind of ride it out. If you go in and say, I don't feel good, a lot of times they don't say anything. Nobody's offering to send you home. What they're doing is they're just letting you stay there, because most businesses, unfortunately, will let you work until you drop, and then that's when that one ad goes out for another person. And one of the truest things somebody had told me once before was, if you died at work, your obituary would come out after they had put a spot in the one ads. They'll replace you that quick. You have to advocate for your own health first before anybody else, because as much as we would like to think people will look out for us, they will, to an extent. And you better than anybody else. That's the important part. You know really how good you do or don't feel. You know when that's getting to you. This man was talking about he's welling up with tears because his hand doesn't work. And I just went through something very similar to that. I know that feeling of not being complete, not being a whole working unit when you can't like grab things. I couldn't hold car keys at some point. He's talking about he can't even hold the pan to like cook himself breakfast. That's a hard place to be in, and the last thing you want to do is go to the one place in your life where you're probably under the most duress, which is work, because you're there to perform, you're there to produce. And if you're feeling like you're behind, we're all humans, and I always say, like, look, think with logic, not emotion, but emotions will wash over you, especially when you are in a physical place of pain. It's a hard place to be at. I understood him completely, and I advocated for him to look out for himself. Guys, you get one health, so please keep that in mind. And I've talked to this before about Michael Jordan and his famous flu game, and that's a fantastic thing, but how many times have you or I gone to work with something like the flu? There were no trainers. There weren't people cheering us on. Nobody handing us Gatorade, things like that. There weren't timeouts. There weren't all of these other things. You just did it quietly, and you did it in an uncelebrated fashion. Start to celebrate yourself. Start to advocate for yourself. Start to understand that your health is far more important. Now, I'm not saying that you quit your job. I'm not telling you how to manage your money. If you need it, I guess you got to do it. But if you can, just remember your health. Your health. And with guys that I've worked with before, I've always asked them, the ones that just drag themselves in every day, I said, what happens by staying all these hours, by cutting your sleep short, by cutting your health short, all these things? What happens at some point when you're just such a wreck, if you were to win the lottery or find out you had a rich uncle that left you everything, and you're not even healthy enough to enjoy it because you'd spent all that time trying to chase it? Just to understand, there's a balance. There's moderation in everything. Get a little bit of overtime if you can. Sometimes if your nose is a little runny or you kind of sort of don't feel like going in, go in. But if you really know that it's not your place to be at that job that day, don't go in. Because a lot of times you can have the adverse effect by trying to show up and do the most. You might show up and do too much of the most the other way. And you don't want to have a bad showing. Especially if there's an emotional outburst. Now, if you just come into work and you throw up, everybody sees that you're sick. Okay, cool. You take off for the day and you let it be known. That was your marker that you tried. But in a lot of cases, it's okay. It's okay just to say, this is the bell I'm not going to be able to answer. Everything is not a Rocky movie. Everything is not built on, how many occasions you rise to. Sometimes we don't. That's not a setback. That's a growth, because you're identifying with yourself more than you are what the job needs. So I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, what are your thoughts? I would love to hear what your ace up the sleeve is, your advice, comment, experience. Leave it in the chats. And I'm sure we're all in different places, different stages, so it might hit differently, but all I'm saying at the end of it all is advocate for your own health, because you're the only one that has to live with it. Guys, I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health and fitness. And like we like to say here, HWPO means hard work pays off. This is Impact Athletics Association. And there's some subscriptions and videos, so stick around.